Okay, so I'm going to try and make this not so long because my queue of videos is adding up now and there is a developing space issue, but there's a lot of things I want to talk about. So I'm going to get straight to the point. I'm going to talk about the the politicization of the military. Now, I'm talking about this particularly in the context of ex-military personnel, veterans. A few disclaimers I want to make before continuing. Um, Anyone watching this video, all I ask is that you actually listen to what I am saying, not jump to conclusions. Because on emotionally sensitive videos, sometimes people do that, and it pisses me off that they don't actually listen to what someone is saying and they rush in and make judgments. So that's all I ask. Disagree with me if you will, but just listen first. Secondly, I have enormous respect for people who serve their country. It's something that exceptional people do. It is profoundly brave, and what these men and women go through is incredible. In many cases, they suffer appalling injuries and serious psychological challenges as well. And I would never, ever, ever assume to knowingly insult people who have served. But the point I want to make with this is it has been increasingly clear in recent years that the military has been used by some to further their own political agenda, both left and right. And I think that's a big problem. Um, I've just seen a video whereby a guy, presumably ex military, at least that's what he purports to be, is confronting Britain First activists. Now, Britain First is a far right organisation, pretty controversial. They're active against what they see as the Islamisation of Britain. Um, I'm not going to make a whole video about Britain First. That's for another video, and I will be making a video about that subject because I've got views on it. But whatever your thoughts on Britain First, the point is this guy and his friends were handing out white feathers. The context being that it was used 100 years ago as a symbol of cowardice during the First World War. Now they're handing out these feathers to Britain First, alleging that they are racist cards. Um, I'm not going to say this is necessarily right or wrong, but it is blatantly politicizing a military aspect because they're making the point that they're ex-service personnel and they're real Britons. Um, I am not saying that what they're doing is right or wrong, but I do reject the idea that you can say that you represent everyone because you're an ex-soldier. I'm going to say that bluntly, and it may offend some people, but I don't care. The fact of the matter is, soldiers, ex personnel are as diverse as any other group, and this is something that needs to be recognized. The fact is, and this may be an uncomfortable fact for some, but it is a fact, there have also been ex service personnel who have been attracted to the far right. There are ex service personnel in Britain First ranks and EDL ranks. This is a fact. Okay, so on one hand, I sort of admire those who have fought for their country standing up to extreme political forces. I think that is admirable. But I think it's wrong to say that you represent everyone because you don't. The fact of the matter is there is an attraction with these groups. And I'm going to make another video and talk about my thoughts on them, but I'm tired of the military being politicized from both sides. And the right does it as well. The far right certainly does it. I mean, when Fusilier Lee Wrigley was murdered in Woolwich, appalling incident. Um, Britain First shamefully used his death to further their own agenda. Now, his family has specifically said on numerous occasions they don't want their son to be used in that way. Britain First has ignored that and they've continued to use that appalling incident to further their own political agenda, which I think is reprehensible. I think if someone has explicitly said that they don't want their son being used for that purpose, in fact, they've explicitly said their son wouldn't have agreed with this sort of approach, then respect the family. You know, by all means, we can have a debate as a society about situations like this happening, but respect the family. Don't use their son's name if they're explicitly saying not to. But the fact of the matter is, there are both elements of the hard left and the hard right who are using the military for their own means, and it's I think it's a big problem because the military first and foremost is the defense forces of a nation, and it should be apolitical, you know. And I contend that ex-service personnel come in all political shades, just like any other group of people, because when they come back into society, they integrate into civilian life, they're going to have views like anyone else. Okay, so there are Labour supporting ex-service personnel, there's Conservative supporting ex-personnel, there's ex-personnel who support fringe groups like Britain First and the EDL, and there's ex-service personnel who probably support Unite Against Fascism. So the point I'm making with this is stop politicising the military. If you're an ex-service member, of course you have 100% right to your views, but I don't think you can claim to represent every single soldier. You just can't. Any more than I, as someone who's had teaching experience, can say I represent all teachers, because I certainly don't, because my type of teaching is different from other teachers, and so forth and so on. Um, by all means have your views, but I just don't like this politicization of the military. I think it's inappropriate, and I think it doesn't prove anything, because these guys could say, "Oh, they're exposing Britain first and so on," but the fact of the matter is, there are ex-service personnel who are in Britain first. I've been to a Remember It Sunday event. I saw ex-soldiers, presumably, because they were there with medals. They were wearing EDL tops. Now, are they representative of every ex-soldier? Of course not. But the point is they're there. And, there's thousands of veterans out there. You can't say that they all think alike. We have to get away from this idea that individuals represent the entire armed forces. Um, as a military, as a serving army, I mean, in the context of present, those who are serving the military at present time, that's different because that is a uniform situation and their comrades in arms and so on. But I make the point that when soldiers return to civilian life, they're like everyone else, insofar as they have diverse views. I think we just need to accept that fact. So yeah, please stop politicizing the military. I think it's inappropriate. I think it's wrong. Have your own views, but I don't think people should bring the uniform into it, because the uniform should be apolitical. The British Army is not about conservatives, it's not about Labour, and it shouldn't be about left or right. It is first and foremost the defence forces of a nation. So that's my point. If you disagree, fine. Feel free to say why, but I think I've made a very reasonable case with this.